How's it going, guys? Dragonstar Production here, back with another What If video, and in this What If, it's going to be something that has been heavily requested, and I've been kind of promoting for a little while, and yes, we're talking about me. Well, I guess not necessarily me, but we're talking, what if Dragonstar was in Dragon Ball? So, with a lot of thinking of how to do this, I found out the best way is to, well, just wake up in it. And if you're confused on what I mean by just waking up in it, well, I mean I'm going to take my real life self and my love of Dragon Ball and just throw myself right into the story. But the real question is, where? Well, with a lot of consideration, I figured my best bet wouldn't be to put myself right into the middle of Goku's story when he finds the Dragon Balls with Bulma, especially because other YouTubers has done that. However, instead, I take it upon myself to actually train. From watching the show, I already know incredible ways to get stronger, so I use those and actually apply them to myself. And the reason why I want to train myself up is because I actually get thrown in right where the 22nd martial arts tournament is coming up, and I feel my best way to introduce myself as well by kicking ass. However, before we get into the tournament, I'd like to talk about my training, because obviously I started off with basic punches and kicks. However, with each day, I got more limber and quicker. Eventually, my training would pay off, and I would realize that I need a more advanced method of training. But then I thought to myself, all I need is a dirty magazine, and I'll be able to train alongside Master Roshi. So, with that in mind, I go straight into the store, find a good magazine, and I head my way across the ocean, swimming like Michael Phelps all the way to Kame house. When I arrived, I was totally beat. I was tired, but that wouldn't keep me down, because as soon as I swam up and seen Kame house, I was in a little bit of an awe. Could even say I fanboyed a bit, but quickly snapped out of it when I heard somebody say, "Wow man, you swam all the way out here?" However, when I looked up, I noticed Krillin and Master Roshi was standing above me. Once again, trying not to fanboy, I stand up and I hand Roshi the magazine and ask for some help with some martial arts training. Roshi, though, was more into the magazine than my question. However, he did tell Krillin to show me the ropes, so I guess that means that I'm his new recruit. Of course, Krillin wouldn't be the only one showing me the ropes, however, because Yamcha is there as well, training under Master Roshi. And as the three were teaching me, I was able to pick up pretty fast. I guess getting put into the Dragon Ball world, my potential skyrocketed. Maybe the writer likes me. I don't know. But either way, I was able to pick up some of their basic moves like the Kamehameha, although for me, this wasn't really basic. If anything, this was probably one of the coolest things possible that could ever happen to me. Yamcha, though, also found a liking to me, and he made it a point to show me a lot of what he knew. Believe it or not, I was actually able to help Yamcha create his Spirit Ball a whole lot sooner, actually a whole tournament earlier, and I actually helped Krillin create the Destructo Disc way earlier than what he does in canon. I began to understand why both Yamcha and Krillin were such good friends with Goku. They were great friends who pushed you to be even better, to push you to be even stronger. And I knew I was growing at a quick rate, but it was because they were able to push me. And I was actually able to beat Krillin in a sparring match. It was a light fight, but nonetheless a win for me. This was really the first time that I ever beat either Krillin or Yamcha. However, this was only the beginning of my fighting, because the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai is coming up, and Roshi said that he'd love for me to represent the Kame school. Instantly, I feel like screaming. But I don't let it come off that way. Instead, I just say, oh yeah, I'd enjoy smashing some different skulls from these two as I bang Krillin and Yamcha's head together. And with that being said, we'd skip to the pre-tournament, or my first interaction with Goku. So I arrived with Krillin, Yamcha, Bulma, Launch, Puar, and Turtle, and this was also my first encounter with Bulma and Launch, and let me just say that Launch might not have a thing for Tien, so yikes. But anyway, the bigger picture here is that Jackie Chun signs up for the tournament. Everybody tells me that he is a future winner, but I already knew this from being a lifelong fan. But that also doesn't mean that I'm going to let them know anything, so I don't say a word. Instead, I take in all the advice that they're going to give me, but I do have a trick up my sleeve if I happen to face Jackie Chun. But suddenly, Jackie Chun is no longer the talk of the tournament. It's the Crane School. Master Shin shows up alongside Ten Shinhan and Chatsu. The Crane School and the Turtle Hermit School were going back and forth with verbal threats. As for me, I stayed back and just let them go at it because, well, it's kind of cool to watch. However, it was time to start the preliminaries, and like normal, Yamcha and Krillin easily move on, as well as Tien, who walks through his opponent as if he was nothing. Goku still paddles it out with King Champa, a previous winner, and he does win in the preliminary match. Chatsu even pulls out a dub, while my hands were full before even entering the first round of the tournament, because my preliminary match was against Jackie Chan. We both entered the circle, entering our fighting stances. However, learning from Roshi, I wasn't about to make the first move. Instead, I waited on him. Chun at first was just circling until he finally darted in, but when he did, I was able to catch his arm, spinning him backwards, kneeing him directly in the center of his back. Chun turned around and I could see the surprise on his face, and knowing that he was surprised, I would take this as my moment. I charged and acting like I was going for a punch as I slid by, whispering, "What's up, Roshi?" This alone was able to catch Jackie Chan off guard completely, leaving him open to get nailed right in the back with a Kamehameha, knocking Jackie Chan out of the ring. And I think this took everybody by surprise because, well, it took me by surprise. But I knew that there was more left to go, and I had no time to get sidetracked because Chatsu and Tien were going to be up to no good because they were about to change the order of the tournament with Chatsu's telekinesis powers. And because I know that Chatsu and Tien are about to change the order of the matchups, I'm able to go over there and stop them, and we're actually able to get the original matchups, which I don't know what are, so I'm just going to make some up, which we're going to have round 1, match 1 being Tien versus Krillin. I believe this fight is pretty obvious. Although Krillin puts up the best fight that he can, he isn't able to stop Tien, who can simply outpower and outmaneuver Krillin. Tien would be able to make an impact though, because he wasn't about to let anybody destroy him. He wasn't about to let anybody walk over him. But we also wasn't expecting him to do what he did. Before anybody could stop him, Tien would jump into the air and he crashed down on Krillin's leg as he dumped him outside the ring right after eliminating him. I thought maybe if I stopped Chatsu from changing the numbers that Tien wouldn't result in being so violent because he wasn't facing Yamcha, but I was wrong. Instead, it was Krillin who suffered the fate of having a broken leg. This would, though, make the Turtle School pretty mad, and I can say that in my next fight with, Man Wolf on round 1, match 2, I can say I took my anger out on him pretty bad. I literally just watched Tien crack one of my best friend's legs, and I was pissed. Manwolf stared at me, and I knew he wasn't a threat. He charged into me, and I easily sidestepped his attack as I grabbed him by his head, pulling him back, leaving his stomach wide open as I drew back a punch, hitting him right into the gut, knocking him out cold. I then walked off straight towards Tien, however, never making eye contact. I hear him mumble something, but I don't turn around. I just walk around back to my friends as I await to watch the next round. And when talking about the next round, the next fight, although the two are going to be pretty mad after watching what Tien did in round 1, match 1, they just have to let their anger and put it into a good fight because it's going to be match 3 between Goku and Yamcha. And in this fight, I'm going to say that the fight is pretty even and is actually going towards Yamcha's way in the beginning. But this is only because Goku is actually just taking his pace, going very slow, and just seeing how much stronger Yamcha has gotten, until Goku actually cracks down on Yamcha. This shows everybody how much stronger Goku has gotten, but he eventually just decides to overpower Yamcha, knocking him out of the ring. This then causes Goku to move on to the next round, so yeah, sadly, Yamcha does lose again in the first round, but I guess sometimes it just be like that. As for round 1, match 4, it's going to be Chatsu versus Pampoot. Match 4, I'm not really going to get into because I think everybody knows that Chatsu is going to be moving on in this fight. Not really much to talk about anymore because we have a bigger and more important matchup ahead. And with that being said, let's get into the second round of the tournament. Round 2, match 1, Tien versus Dragonstar. Let me just start off by saying, oh crap, I'm really stepping into the ring to fight Tien. I'm nervous, I'm feeling myself shake, and honestly, I'm trembling. I just saw how deadly Tien was. He easily broke Krillin's leg, and I knew I wasn't much stronger than Krillin. However, as soon as my feet gripped the surface, I was more ready to fight than I ever have been before. The only problem for me was, so was Tien. Tien dove in and I met him right in the middle of the ring. As their forearms collided, I felt how strong he was. I knew this fight wasn't going to be easy, if even possible, for me. But before Tien could even throw a punch, I flipped back to regroup and build a better strategy than simply not having one against him. I was just playing defense, trying to notice a weak point, but I couldn't find one. Tien Shinhan was guarding himself while hitting me, but one thing I noticed is that Tien Shinhan seems to be really good up close. He's very well at hand-to-hand combat. The best way for me to actually create some offense is to actually create some distance from him. I started jumping back as I shot some small ki blast in the middle of the ring, creating a smoke screen. Tien Shinhan, though, doesn't fall for this as he charges through the smoke. Luckily for me, though, the smoke screen was just a decoy. As Tien Shinhan came rushing through the smoke, he was greeted by a spirit ball. And yes, thanks to my training with Yamcha, I was able to use a spirit ball, and I was able to direct the ball over and over, nailing Tien Shinhan in every single inch of his body. This causes him to actually crash down to the ring, damaged but not out. Tien Shinhan stands back up as he shoots off a Dodon Ray. However, I see the beam, and instead of dodging it, I felt maybe cutting through it would be much cooler. Yep, now I get to use Krillin's Destructo Disc to slice through Tien Shinhan's Dodon Ray. As for Tien Shinhan, though, he was able to jump out of the way of the disc, but this also worked like a charm for me because as Tien Shinhan jumped out of the way, I slid right under him, shooting the most powerful Kamehameha I possibly could. The blast then heads directly toward Tien Shinhan as I push harder and harder, hoping that somehow I've caused enough damage. But that's actually where we were going to be leaving off for the next video. If you guys want to see what happens to this very big cliffhanger, you guys better hit the like goal of 200 likes. With that being said, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon for any alerts for whenever I upload or post on the community tab. Follow me on Twitter because I actually am pretty active on there, and join the Discord if you want to talk to me or possibly join some game nights for some Among Us or something along that line. And as for me, well, I guess you'll find me in part 2 of What If Dragonstar was in Dragon Ball.
Congratulations, champ. You made it to the end of the video. Now, if you hit that subscription button, that thumbs up button, and that bell icon, you won't catch a dynamite kick.